You're listening to the Agony Column News Report featuring interviews, phone interviews, reports from live book events and festivals, and conversations with readers. You can find additional news, interviews, book reviews, and more 5 days a week at the Agony Column website at trashotron.com/agony. I'm speaking with K.W. Jeter. He is the author of the classic novel Infernal Devices and arguably the man who created steampunk. Thank you for joining me, KW.
I'm glad to be here, and it's not arguably. I actually did coin the word steampunk.
I'd like you to take us back to that time when you were looking at the literature of science fiction. What made you decide to pursue that direction?
Well, we're talking about back in the 80s, and at that time I had really sort of generated for myself kind of a dark, depressing image in my fiction. And I had friends like Tim Powers and Jim Blaylock, having a lot of fun doing a more lighthearted, humorous type of writing. And I was a little envious about that. So I wanted to do something that was just kind of larky and fun. And, I think back in the 80s especially, there was a certain element of political incorrectness to being a real enthusiast about Victorian literature, especially the kind of obscure parts of it. And so it was kind of a combination of that, wanting to do essentially a comedic novel, and at the same time sort of show off some of the good research elements that we all sort of stumbled upon fortuitously back then. And it was really just one of those things where we were having a good time. I was having a good time writing the book. Turned out, I thought, pretty funny. At least I laugh at what I think are the funny parts of it. Other people might just laugh at it, period. That was it. It was the motivation to do something sort of lighthearted and at the same time, get to show off a little bit of historical knowledge.
You're currently living in a time that would have been regarded as the province of science fiction back then, and was actually the province of science fiction back then. So I'd like you to talk about your experience of the intervening years and where you are now, both as a writer and as a writer trying to seek publication in an environment that is, to say the least, challenging.
Actually, in a lot of ways, just very recently, the environment has gotten much less challenging. The advent of self-published ebooks is really changing the publishing environment in some ways in very upsetting ways, in some ways very advantageous ways for writers and readers. In a lot of ways, we're seeing so-called legacy writers like myself sort of getting their second career or their second wind out of the e-publishing revolution, even though I've got...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?